Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name is Connor. I am a science fiction, political, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran. I love reacting to and breaking down Warhammer 40k and other science fiction and action media. So, if that interests you, come along for the ride. Let's go.
Cease movement. Vigilance protocol. Yes, orcs. Large numbers. Distance 1,640 to 2,760 feet. Estimated probability of evading threat 15.26%. Spirit of this machine, accept my will.
Okay. Well, we do need to pause intermittently in order to break down, and that's what we're going to do right now. So, opening up on dead humans and orcs, I actually forgot. So, I've seen this. I've seen this piece before, but I did forget the disgusting rotting flesh flies and worms eating the corpses, and it's already very heavy metal, already very intense. Loving it. Okay. So we see the Valkyries and the Aquila landers leaving. Those are Imperial Guard ships. So we see that Imperial forces are withdrawing, but we do have this battered Castellan robot and the cybernetic datasmith who working together, and she calls Cease Movement Vigilance Protocol. So we can use a little bit of Latin roots in order to figure this out. Vigilus, word similar to vigilant. Then archaeotech located on her scanner. Archaeo, I believe, is ancient. And then technology. So we can use these words in order to try to figure out exactly what they imply or mean. And even if it's only through implication, we can understand she's hunting technology and this robot's watching her back while she's scanning and, assessing the threats. 1,700 to 2,600 feet in order to get to the archaeotech, and the chances of avoiding large numbers of orcs is only 15%. As a result, please receive my will. So for those of you, for perhaps this is your first episode, this is set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. It's a dark, dirty, disgusting, grim universe, also known as Grim Dark. And so things don't go always great for our heroes, and sometimes our heroes aren't even heroes. So, this grungy, disgusting, mess of a city or mess of a world is being walked through by robotic worshippers of the transhuman cult of Mars, known as the Adeptus Mechanicus. So, the Adeptus Mechanicus believe that knowledge is God, and that human knowledge and human technology is a source of divinity. And so as a result, they worship that knowledge and they slowly transform their biological forms. The flesh is weak, as they say. They transform their biological forms into increasingly technologically sophisticated robotic and cybernetic forms. But the Castellan robot has a bare level of sentience because in this universe, humanity survived a similar fate to the Terminator universe where AI technology turned on humanity. And as a result, only the barest of machine intelligences are trusted. Also, wrapping it up before we get back into it, Castellan robots kick ass on the tabletop. Like 6 of these, 9 of these, set up by their cybernetic datasmith to stay in place and to fire twice, can melt through infantry units like it's nobody's business. So I was already excited when I first saw the Castellan robot on the thumbnail for the video, and I was even more excited as the situation escalates. So let's get into that escalation and have some fun.
The archaeotech we seek is lost knowledge. To reclaim such knowledge is revelation. Revelation is worth any expenditure of energy, material, or life. Therefore, we must proceed, no matter the risk. You understand this, I know. No blasphemy of intelligence touches you. You are a component of divinity. Therefore, in the spirit that moves in electro and gear, you understand. I give unto thy mechanisms the command to protect. Spirit of this machine, heed my will. Aegis Protocol! Spirit of destruction, do not fail in thy function.
Yes. Yes. Revelation is worth any expenditure, including that of energy and life. That kind of getting into that like cultish perspective that I was already telling you. No blasphemy of intelligence touches you. Well, and that's to speak to the purity of the machine spirit, the purity, because it doesn't have to contend with the parameters of flesh. So she's calling it dumb, but also worshiping that stupidity. The command to protect punches the first orc literally into mush, just explodes him with a straight ha! I don't even know if that would be a jab. So jab is like a lead hand punch. And then I forget what a rear hand punch is technically called, but I don't even know if that was a rear hand punch. It was just like, ha-cha! Explodes the orc. Aegis protocols. You know, there's shields known as Aegis invulnerable saves. So he does put up a little bit of a force field protection around himself. I'm gendering the robot, but themself. You know, and and the cybernetic data smith. Spirit of destruction, do not fail in thy function. I feel like that could easily be a lyric to a heavy metal song. But the Adeptus Mechanicus, they use more advanced weaponry than the standard Imperial Guard. I'm not totally familiar, but they use Volkite weapons, they use phosphor blasters, and as a result, they can basically shred their opponents, and that's exactly what happens, just blasting apart the orcs. And then one of the interesting things was a commentary about orc physiology. Literally uses the pistol to remove an orc arm, and then the orc is still coming, gets cut down by an even bigger blast from the robot, and still needs the Omniscient, because they love to put Omnisci on everything, which is their god of knowledge, thought to be the emperor of mankind, but is realistically whatever, you know, it's just the worship of knowledge and the one true God of truth and revelation. But uses the Omniscient axe to finish off the orc because that's just how brutal and intense orcs are. So the one orc gets in close, uses a power claw, enjoys his destruction of the robot only temporarily before losing the top part of his head. And then, of course, I'd have to look up the weapons, but I'm pretty sure it's a phosphor blaster on the Castellan robot. Blows apart the rest of the orcs, and now they're back to square one, repairing and moving towards the Archaeotech. So beautifully done. Love robot on orc violence. Some of my most favorite, and definitely some of my most favorite violence in the Hammer and Bolter series so far. Delicious, beautiful, clean, bloody, gory violence. Love it.
May the sacred charge and blessed connection of his forgive the crudeness of my ministrations. Ammunition levels 54%. Fuel cell capacity 51%. Without replacement of damaged components, motive capacity is projected at 61% of optimal. The probability of us reaching the Archaeotech, I would estimate at no more than 25.23%. It is not a pessimistic calculation. Logic and truth do not allow for hope. To hope is to listen to the weakness of flesh. To calculate is divine. This chain of logic is correct, and what is correct is sacred. There is no sacrifice that shall not be paid for knowledge. Both the sacrifice and the knowledge are the blessed fulfillment of function. Spirit of this machine, heed my will. Follow. Cease motion. Firelight. Spectral signature indicates promethium combustion mixed with other low-grade combustible material. A fire set to give light and sanctuary. Possibly. Initiate Auspex scan. A human. Rescan and confirm. The probability that they will be able to assist us is low, but the improbable is still possible. It would be illogical to fire. I mean you no immediate harm. Vigilance protocol. While the combustion of promethium provides heat and illumination, in current atmospheric conditions, its light will be perceivable up to a distance of approximately 3.13 miles. Additionally, your biological sight will be limited in acuity by its illumination. The fire is not advisable.
You were with the Mechanicus?
Confirmed.
I thought there were no other survivors. I haven't seen anyone else out here.
The forces of the Imperium and the Adeptus Mechanicus destroyed sufficient numbers of the Orcs to render their invasion non-viable. The battle was a victory by the standard military criteria.
We won?
Confirmed.
Then we are saved! We just need to reach the rest of the Imperial forces.
The majority of the forces opposing the Orc invasion have been withdrawn.
But the Orcs are still here. I've seen them. Hundreds of them.
The numerical value of Orcs on the surface has been deemed no longer a threat, and the forces of the Imperium are needed elsewhere. This world is ruined, its productivity degraded. Its value is lower than others that might still be protected. Therefore, this is victory. It is a simple calculation.
So, no one is coming. I am alone. Then what are you doing here?
I have a function to fulfill.
But you said that the Imperial forces have withdrawn.
The machine is eternal, and so is its truth. No will of man can undo that axiom. I am a tooth of the turning cog of knowledge. Battles occur, flesh fails and rots, but the quest for knowledge remains.
A quest? So, you were looking for something?
I seek an archaeotech device that has lain hidden on this world.
Archaeotech? Is it valuable?
The data indicates that the archaeotech I seek is a form of electroferro infusion, both a power source and a means of metallic regeneration. If it is preserved and its secrets replicated, it will unlock the function of countless other machines. The use and implications of this technology are profound. Worlds can be rebuilt, legions made whole, wars won. The value of such a device cannot be quantified.
I don't understand.
Of course you do not. The existence of this archaeotech is a secret. No others from my order know of its location. That is why I alone remain to find it. Some things are too valuable to trust to others.
But you're telling me?
The knowledge I transmit to you is payment for the aid I require from you.
But you are going to take me with you, aren't you?
Negative. Knowledge gives meaning to sacrifice. The probability of encountering further enemy combat
All right. Well, we'll listen to her justifications in a second, okay? So, before they reach this young man, they squabble. It is not a pessimistic estimate. The robot seems to be giving her sass, which is funny considering how rudimentary its intelligence is. But logic and truth do not allow for hope, implying that the robot said something about hope. And the the cybernetic data smith goes over the fact that, like, with 61% function, with depleted fuel and depleted ammunition, we are losing our chances of recovering the archaeotech. But once they get to the fire, they say the improbable is still possible. So they find a remaining Imperial Guard person who is holding out hope that he will be recovered. He's the only survivor from his unit, and he is hoping to rejoin Imperial forces, but the cybernetic data smith shares the truth with him. That Imperial forces have already been withdrawn, that this world is now wasted, that they don't plan on committing any other forces, and basically they plan on leaving it to the remaining orcs who are no longer deemed a threat. So whatever orcs are here will continue to spawn and eventually retake the planet, but they're not big enough that they're going to be able to create a roi or a fleet and challenge Imperial forces anytime soon. So as a result, they'll be left to run the planet and then eventually be a threat. But for now, the majority of Imperial forces need to withdraw in order to be committed to other more important battles for worlds that can still be saved and salvaged. This is the utilitarian calculus of the Imperium of Man, and this is the constant clash. So I live in a liberal, democratic, individualistic society in which the moral worth of every living creature is evaluated as having an inherent worth. The Imperium of Man cannot afford such luxuries. This is a luxurious moral system. And so everything has to be calculated out. Is this worth it? Because if it's not worth it, then you're committing to save individuals that will condemn billions. And so it always boils down to a utilitarian calculus that leaves plenty of individuals screwed over, to put it lightly. So the simple calculation, I am a tooth of the cog, the quest for knowledge remains, and the archaeotech that I'm seeking is electroferro metallic generation. Electro, electronic, ferro, iron. So it's some kind of electricity and iron that is capable of providing energy, but also capable of regenerating metal itself. No one of my order knows of this location, and sometimes things cannot be trusted to others. Why are you telling me? Because knowledge is payment for what I'm going to take from you. Knowledge and truth are their own things of value. So she's sharing with this poor meat sack divine revelation before killing him in order to take his metallic arm in order to repair her robot. And so you might think this cruel. I thought it was cruel. It made me sad. But at the same time, for her, I'm gendering them, but that's only because the robotic voice is vaguely female. She's no longer human. They are no longer human. But, this is a logical sacrifice, because if they can return the Castellan robot back up to near ideal function, that increases the chance of recovering the archaeotech and succeeding in their mission. The other portion that I think is very interesting about this is that this is a jealously guarded secret. The potential of its implications has rendered it a secret to the Mechanicum. And despite the fact that it could revolutionize warfare, the Mechanicus, or the Mechanicum, is jealously guarding the secret because it's so powerful that they don't want it to get out. And this is the implication of Adeptus Mechanicus lore, is that they're holding on to a lot of technologies that they don't even share with the broader Imperium, basically because they're jealously guarding those secrets for themselves in limited applications for themselves, because they primarily serve themselves and knowledge, and that's it. So it's a nation within a nation, as some people would say. That and then one other thing that I did Google while I was waiting for this to catch up, it's a gamma pistol. Her pistol is a gamma pistol, which shoots irradiated bolts that can melt organic matter instantaneously, and it's viewed as one of the most jealously guarded weapons in the Mechanicum's arsenal. So, let's continue on to the violence.
Patents is 96.56%. If we cannot overcome them, then we will not recover the Archaeotech. The Archaeotech must be recovered. Therefore, your optimal function must be restored. This act was necessary. I could not let you fail. Who else is there to help me? Spirit of this machine, you are made whole again. We will now proceed. Follow. The fire can remain. It is irrelevant. Spirit of this machine, heed my will. Aegis Protocol! Machine, heed my will! Kill Protocol! Spirits of this portal, I speak the key and invoke thee. Sacred Omnissiah, governor of the turning of cog and the transmission of charge, your servant supplicates itself before this manifestation of your divinity. Forgive thy servant for my haste. Machine, heed my will!
Nice. So, one of the things that I liked that was personal as they were moving away from the campfire was, I could not let you fail. This is a robot. You should be treating it like furniture. You should be treating it not like, it shouldn't be like a person to you. But it's pretty clear that the cybernetic datasmith still has some remnants of affection for the robot. Who else is there to help me? A very personal statement. And so the reason why she killed the Imperial Guard was because that young man was a biological liability. He needs food, water, shelter, sustenance, emotional reinforcement, and he has a desire to rejoin other Imperial forces so he can continue surviving. The only thing that he offers is a las rifle, and that sucks. And as an individual weapon, it's not going to help out very much at all. So, using logic, facts over feelings over here, guys. Facts over feelings. The cybernetic datasmith decides to do the only thing that's smart, which is basically kill the Imperial Guardsman and use his cybernetic enhancement to repair the robot and move on. So, the 80s music is super fun as they get confronted at the gate of the Archaeotech. And I love the 80s music kicking on because obviously, 80s was a time of like high technology and technological optimism. So having a little bit of techno synth in the background was very fun. And then I did confirm that the weapon on top of the Castellan robot is a phosphor blaster and, ripped apart the orcs. Making a brief comment on orc melee versus shooting. Orc shooting sucks, okay? They're not particularly accurate, but they do love the sound and blast of their weapons, and they will randomly hit you. But in melee is where orcs are truly dangerous, and they will absolutely jack you up. So through volume of fire, orcs can hurt and kill you with weapons, but it's actually once they get in close that they become very dangerous. So the cybernetic datasmith, knowing this, decides to move the Castellan robot into kill protocol so he can put down as many orcs as possible. And what's funny is I find that she's panting. This could be simply an artistic choice to show panic, but at the same time, what that tells me is she still has lungs. Whereas a majority of servants of the Mechanicus over time will replace all of their bionic function, ultimately becoming a computer-enhanced brain floating in a jar of preservative liquid within a cyborg, largely robotic structure. So that one orc actually gets close to taking her out, uses a servo arm and a mechadendrite laser to chop off his head. And she's thinking to herself, do I run with the Archaeotech? Do I escape? Can I even escape? How is this possible? How far do I get without my Castellan servant? She prays to the sacred Omnissiah, the god of truth and really the only god that does exist. and then, says, "Forgive thy servant for my haste." She was probably supposed to pray for another 10 minutes in order to secure the Archaeotech, but with orcs all around, it just wasn't possible. Orcs swing in with chain axes and take the head off the Castellan robot, but even at that moment, the Castellan is still dangerous. You see dozens of dead orcs, and she tries to command the robot, but he's too far gone in order to save. Let's continue.
Machine, heed my will and command. Rise. The flesh is weak, but the machine is eternal. If I had not used the device, then you would no longer function. The existence of further archaeotech on this planet is possible. The loss of the device was a certainty if I had not used it to restore your function. Therefore, the use and exhaustion of the device allowed the quest for knowledge to continue. This chain of logic is correct, and what is correct is sacred. I cannot continue alone. Spirit of this machine, heed my will. Follow.
I love it. So, marrying the Archaeotech to the robot, who knows what the outcome will be. But the it's basically techno magic. I thought the animation was a little bit heavy-handed for repairing a robot with even electropharo technology, but whatever. Robot gets repaired. And then the flesh is weak, but the machine is eternal. If I had not used the device in order to restore your function, then the Archaeotech would have been guaranteed to be lost. And therefore, it was only logical, and what is correct is sacred. Fudgin' Mechanicus, am I right? Maybe if you would actually maybe if you weren't so secretive, you could have dedicated an entire team of Mechanicus to secure this sacred Archaeotech, but because you're so secretive, you won't even trust others with the technology. Then as a result, this could change the battles that billions of people fight, might require generations of study, but it could still change the entire landscape of warfare for the Imperium of Man. But because you're so selfish, you use it to repair a single robot and save yourself and save the robot. Now, I understand the logic. There's plenty of orcs out there. If she had just kept the sacred Archaeotech and then tried to retreat to Imperial lines, there's a strong chance that she would have been killed, and as a result, tech would have been lost anyways. But I can't help but think there's a little bit of human fraternity left in her, that she is attached to this robot that has served her flawlessly and without hesitation. It is a robot after all. but served her flawlessly this many years. And as a result, I cannot continue alone. I think there's a little bit of human left in her anyways. So, potential Archaeotech 0.01%. Spirit of the Machine here, heed my will. They continue on their adventures. And this brings up a quote from the Angels of Death. Minute possibility over time becomes probability. So to those who understand probability, 0.01%. So you're saying there's a chance. But that's all my insight for this episode. I did love it. I did have a good time. I do love Mechanicus on orc violence and orc on Mechanicus violence. Big fan of it. Those are based off of me seeing their sigils and their color scheme. I believe those are Bad Moon orcs. So if you're an orcs fan, at least you got to see your big bad boys in green in action and taking out a Castellan robot. Sorry, so many of them got smoked, but Imperium gonna Imperium. Am I right? So, so I appreciate y'all. My name is Connor. I'm a science fiction, political, and philosophy nerd. I'm a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran. I love breaking down Warhammer TV series, and I love breaking down other media such as Fury, Full Metal Jacket, End of Watch, and other TV series. I do love debating and yelling at people about politics, so if that interests you, check out the politics playlist, and check everything out. Subscribe, ring the bell. Consider becoming a YouTube member. Consider watching us on Twitch when we go live or YouTube when we go live. Consider becoming a subscriber on Twitch. And then also consider going to patreon.com/counterpoints and helping to donate. We've had an explosion of growth over the past month. It's been very fun. The goal is to break 100K by 2024. I know we can do it. Please help out. I appreciate you. Catch you in the next one. Bye.